My ultimate Dragon Ball Z remake wishlist. What does this mean exactly? Well, based on my previous video, go watch that by the way, about my, my hopes for a Dragon Ball Z remake. This is kind of going more into depth on what exactly I want to see coming out of that remake, if it's gonna happen. Hope to God. I have 6 main reasons, but they're pretty simple, and it's just as a disclaimer, it doesn't necessarily affect the series as a whole. The main story is still gonna be there, And responding to the few comments that said Dragon Ball Z Kai is the remake, no, that's a remaster. That's not a remake. They didn't remake the show from scratch. They still used the previous animation from like 20 some years ago. They redid some of the drawings, made it look really, really bad, and just went with it from there. They redid the voice acting, and they got rid of the filler, and they got just like, everything else. Speaking of filler, my first point is, to redo the filler. Now, hear me out, listen up. Not all of the filler, right? Like one of the first arcs, or one of the first filler arcs in the Dragon Ball Z series is the like orphanage one. I don't remember it by hand exactly, but Gohan gets lost and he finds these like orphans, and like they have like this one guy, this like one big guy, and he's stealing for them to get them food and like other stuff and like stuff like that, and then like police catch them and the whole thing happens. Gohan tries to help them live a better life. I think that's just what I remember by hand. That one is sort of unnecessary, but it does like play into like Gohan's character development. He goes from a frail, scared little kid into the warrior he's eventually going to become in the Cell Saga. So I feel like stuff like that is necessary. Another filler episode that's very, very necessary, I believe, is the mining robot episode. Now, I'll also try to remember this by hand, but basically Gohan gets lost again. He gets trapped inside of a cave in like a mountain or something, and he meets this robot. This robot was made for mining, like, ores and stuff, but he's trapped there too, but he's still alive. And Gohan, starts to, form a bond with this robot until the cave starts to collapse, and then he has to leave the robot behind. And Gohan makes a promise to himself to never let another one of his friends die, and that's another it's just such a crucial moment, because he's literally transforming before our eyes into like a solid warrior just like his dad. Things like that are definitely necessary, and I can only imagine what would happen if they redo all of the filler arcs into Dragon Ball Z, into the remake. Maybe the orphanage arc is gonna be like what, like 2-3 episodes. The robot episode can stay at 1. The search for the Dragon Balls, like in the Cell or in the Android Saga, where like Goku just goes and revisits Tao Pai Pai and like everyone else, that can be like half an episode maybe. And then definitely like the driving episode, that's gonna be I want that to be a full episode. Very well animated, top animators in the world, just work on that for like what, $1 million. Put that into one episode. That's worth it. Redoing the filler will make Dragon Ball just feel like a more like whole, like the remake wouldn't like make more sense, I want to say. And obviously that's very like it's a tough ask, and it's probably not going to happen, but it would be cool. That is on my wish list if they were to make this. Alright, the next chapter is fix the pacing of the fights, and I know they kind of did that in Dragon Ball Z Kai, but they did it almost in the sense that it goes by too quick, in my opinion. The Frieza fight lasted about what, like 20 episodes, just with Frieza and versus Vegeta going into Goku and then going Super Saiyan and all that. I think it lasted more, to be honest. I remember it lasting like more episodes. That's too much, right? You get to the point where it's basically like a One Piece arc at this point, and I'll get to One Piece later on in this video. So in order to combat that and to fix it, Dragon Ball Z Kai definitely shortened it up. It was like what, 10 episodes until Frieza got defeated by Goku, and that was like that was too short. Like I didn't feel the impact that I initially had in while watching the original saga. Like, I know it's like it really isn't that long in the original manga, and he's supposed to say 5 minutes, after he drives that key into the core of Namek, and after Goku was saying, in order to basically like have like a scapegoat, because he can breathe in space and Goku can't. So it was supposed to be a quick fight, but still it leaves a sort of vacuum that's like left to be seen, because you have like just like 5 minutes of cut up footage from the original Dragon Ball Z saga, and then that's basically the episode for Dragon Ball Z Kai. They definitely need to expand on some parts in the manga while also keeping it faithful to the original work. Alright, now onto the One Piece sort of like aspect to it. My chapter 3 is for Toei Animation to put more effort into it than they put into One Piece currently. You One Piece fans you guys really have it good. And I'm a One Piece fan, you know, I'm watching it right now, I'm on Dressrosa. But man, do you guys have it just perfect, man. You guys are living in like a perfect utopia with like manga chapters and the Los Angeles Lakers and just everything. You guys have everything. Dragon Ball fans are on like rations. You get 20 episodes like since like 2017. That's horrendous, right? And it was a different series that nobody asked for. Simply egregious. And you know, the ending to Dragon Ball Daima was just terrible. I'm gonna make a video about that soon too. Toei Animation needs to realize that like Dragon Ball is like so much more like well recognized than One Piece is. And I'm not saying this to hit on One Piece. It is like one of the most sold books of all time. I think Oda ranks like number 7 in most book sales of all time, human history. So that's insane. One Piece is a huge franchise, but Dragon Ball is just so iconic. Like the character of Goku is like the symbol of like anime. You know, I sound like a Goku is such an iconic character, and Dragon Ball is such an iconic character. Like a character as in like a series as a whole. You know, you look at the 4-star Dragon Ball, you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, it would make so much sense for Toei Animation to just like, you know, put more effort into it. Cause like what, like why wouldn't they? I get it. Like One Piece has been going on for more than 20 years, you know, consistently. So it's obviously, you know, the greatest money making machine out there. They can spend maybe like $9,000, $10,000 on a single low budget episode and make what, $30,000 off, you know, just watching, and let people watching it from all over the world, and Netflix and marketing and sales and products and everything, you know. One Piece is a tyrant. So is Dragon Ball. So I don't understand why they don't just use their biggest IP, one of the like biggest names in all of cartoon history of all time, and remake the original show. Remake it with better animation, better quality, you know, better voice acting, better pacing. Just there's so much things they can do. And if they just put more effort into Dragon Ball, I guarantee you the payout will be massive for them. Another thing that Toei Animation can definitely expand on when making this Dragon Ball Z remake is expanding the lore. Now, honestly, this is like one part of Dragon Ball. If I have to hate on Dragon Ball for one thing, it would be this: the direction of like direction and handling of like the story and the lore that these people put into it. It's like the most minimal amount of effort as humanly possible. You know, you have, you know, Oda, and I know he makes the One Piece story himself. He has like mountain heaps of lore. Like even back to the East Blue Saga, you can connect it to the current, like, you know, Elbaf and like what's going on in the final saga. Like it's just so insane. He has so much cross references. He's been like foreshadowing so many things. He is a lore genius, right? Come to Dragon Ball, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Look at Daima, for instance. You know, they could have easily made Dabura such a like a way more interesting character. What does he do in the entire story? He gets the third eye like for himself. Well, not really, because he gets lost in the process, and then it belongs now to like that fat blue guy, and then it goes back to King Goma. They could have expanded the demon world so much more, but they decide not to. They just decide to do a bunch of like, you know, horsing around for 20 episodes and then eventually get to the final fight. The Namekian that was in the demon world, they could have expanded more Namekian lore, you know, like how Toyotaro has done, you know, for the Granola arc, how he expanded the lore of Namekians and truly what, you know, they can possibly do. So they, like, you know, even if we see Piccolo in the Dragon Ball Z, you know, original shows, he might be like weak, quote unquote. He's like probably one of the strongest Z fighters, but still, you know, he's necessarily like, you know, usually weak compared to Vegeta, Goku, and the villains. But now with this new information we've been given about how, like, you know, they can exactly control the Dragon Balls, how the clans have been in like recent wars, and how like they've, you know, like just a bunch of stuff. Like we now know that like Namekians are way more powerful than we think. They can also expand on the androids. You know, how exactly were the androids made? Android 16, 17, 18. How, you know, Android 20, 21 were made as well. Well, okay, yeah, Dr. Gero made himself, but still, sorry, 19 and 20, not 20. And they can also expand on the Majin lore. You know, how exactly Majin Buu, you know, was brought into the world. And exactly, we know now out like some stuff from the Moro arc, you know. We know that not all Majins are bad. We know that, you know, they were like more of a diverse species maybe 10 or so million years ago. And we also know that there's like beasts like Moro, and like, you know, there was so many more powerful beings during that time. You can only imagine what kind of lore can be brought from there, you know. So it's one of the many things that, you know, Dragon Ball can work on, and it's really sad, you know, because it has so much potential to be a great foundation of like heavy lore based story. But what do? They just make like, you know, they make, instead of Bibbidi, the one that created Majin Buu, they make it some like old lady from the demon world, and then apparently she made it in like a little pie. It's okay, fine, go deeper. Okay, how did you make Majin Buu? What were the requirements? You know, like who helped you? Maybe it was a villain. Maybe Bibbidi actually did make it, and he was the one that applied the magic to it. That, like, just come on, man, try a little. It's like you're not trying. And more with the Moro that I was talking about in the, you know, just like a few minutes ago, they can introduce other aspects of like the Dragon Ball Super manga and anime into the Dragon Ball Z remake. They can include moments with Beerus so that it makes more sense. They can include moments where, you know, maybe Beerus discovers like Super Saiyan 4 and like he'll through a dream, so that it actually makes sense how, like, you know, Dragon Ball Daima happened. Maybe they can have some scenes with Moro. Maybe they can have some scenes with like the Cerealians and, you know, the old Saiyans. That also ties into the lore. Like, you know, we can expand the Saiyan lore. You know, how exactly was the first Super Saiyan God brought to life? How exactly was the, you know, the Super Saiyan before Goku, the legendary one, not the legendary one, but like, you know, the first one before Goku in 1,000 years. There's so much more, you know, potential to be had with the Dragon Ball franchise, but I know this is all probably not going to happen. My last point, you know, it sort of ties with everything that I've been talking about, you know, so far. Just expand the galaxy, you know, talk about the Cerealians, talk more about Namek, maybe introduce some new planets that will, like, you know, be meaningful down the line. Maybe they'll make like a new Dragon Ball Super arc in the manga, and then it'll go into anime. New races, new planets, you know, they've already introduced Yardrat and how there's 2 different races, and you know what, that's one thing that I love from Toyotaro. He brought like the 2 different designs of the Yardrats, or the Yardratians, whatever they're called, and he introduced them as 2 different races, and they each serve their own, you know, separate role in the planet, and they both helped Vegeta eventually learn Force Spirit Fission and instant transmission, and that really helped them be Moro in the end. So that's one thing that's called not only character development, but that's called, you know, that's actually moving the plot, instead of just having like, you know, just plot armor and just like charging forward like they usually do. Oh, he reached a new form, he beats him. I'm not mentioning Super Saiyan 2. I'm more so mentioning Ultra Instinct. I'll talk about that in the future. All right, yeah. I'm pretty tired. My voice has really run out. I haven't had water in a while, so here we go. That's nice. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to be making more videos in the future, definitely. You know, I've been on a good streak. I thank you guys so much for watching. You know, I've been doing really well on the channel. I'm not going to keep you guys waiting any longer. You know, you guys have a good day. God bless. Happy Lent. You know, have a good Lent season. Pray. Read your Bible. Read your Quran. Read your Torah, whatever you read, you know. Do your fasting. I love you all. Peace.